Closed captioning is brought to you in part by Raven Reads. Unbox Indigenous voices. Subscribe today at ravenreads.org.
Thank you, Scott. And while I can talk that loud, they've been kind enough to give me a mic, so that's a whole lot easier. And on behalf of the Meaford District Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to welcome you for all coming this evening. It is nice to see a good turnout. I would especially like to welcome the candidates for taking time out of their very busy schedule to be here with us. For this to be an interesting and informative session for you, the audience, and to enable all the candidates a fair opportunity to state their platform and respond to questions, we need to outline some rules of procedure. As moderator, I will monitor and direct proceedings. Respect and civility will be required from the candidates and the audience. Timelines will be followed to allow as much participation as possible, and personal attacks toward anyone will not be tolerated, and my word is final and won't be disputed. I will introduce each of the candidates shortly, and they will each have 1 minute for opening remarks. They're requested to use this time to outline their vision for the municipality of Meaford for the next 4 years. After opening remarks, I have a first question and a second. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond, and any additional questions will come from you, hopefully. I do have others in case you falter, but I doubt that you will. And then at the end, candidates will have 1 more minute for their closing statements. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce your council candidates, and they'll know who's going to speak shortly. Steve Bartley, Tony Bell, Darrell Birch is not with us, Bill Cameron, Robert Doran does not appear to be with us, Eric Ennis, Brandon Forder, Hugh Grafton, I'm sorry. My bad spelling. Harley Greenfield. Mark Petrowski could not be with us this evening. Unfortunately, he and his wife came down with COVID. Andy Plater. And Robert Uhrig. And now, to decide who goes first, I want each of you to give me a number. We're going to start at this end and go to that end between 1 and 12.
4. 7. 4.
Well, no, you can only use the number once.
Bobby Orr.
How about 6? Someone might as well be 1.
May as well.
11. 3.
You're getting silent now. The audience wants to know. 2. And the number is 4. So, Rob, apparently he knows me.
Test, this is on. Hello, everyone. Sure. My name is Rob Uhrig. We all know Meaford's a wonderful place to live, work, raise a family, or retire. The next 4 years are going to be both an exciting and challenging time for our community, and my goals are to stimulate economic development by cultivating and supporting the growth of small business throughout the municipality, and to attract youth to our area to replenish our workforce and replace an aging volunteer base. Joyce already? Yes, we're experiencing growth, but we need to encourage responsible development that will provide affordable housing while ensuring it meets the official plan guidelines and maintains our unique character. We need to ensure our infrastructure, rural and urban, is adequately maintained to meet and handle that growth. And finally, we need to promote our natural resources, such as our beautiful parks, trails, and waterfronts, as well as our halls, events, and festivals to establish Meaford as a destination for recreational and arts and culture tourism. Thank you.
Whoa, there we go. Sorry, Andy.
Test. My name is Andy Plater. This is the first time I've run for elected office. I'm not a career politician, but I've been president and/or chair of my profession's association for over a decade. So I'm not new to the dynamics of leadership, stewardship, and being a voice for a constituency. This is an important election. Every municipality is facing the need to address provincial legislation that could lessen the role of council and the voice of its residents. Plus, we are poised to confront what many call a development tsunami. There are tools to protect what we cherish about Meaford, but they are only blunt instruments if not used well. I've read and listened to the well-researched and well-presented briefs from a number of Meaford community groups on some of the big issues, such as the pump storage project and waterfront development. They're deserving of consideration. You can count on me to be a voice of reason on council, a vote for good and smart growth using the official plan, bylaws, and the provincial policy statement on land use to bring precision and clarity to your wants and needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Harley?
Good evening. I'm Harley Greenfield, and I'm seeking re-election as a councillor in your municipality. I have 5 major platform items that I'll refer to. The first is development proposals and how they will affect our natural environment and our man-made heritage features. Infrastructure and the need for continuous repair and rebuilding of roads, bridges, and underground piping, always a major costly concern. Supporting our local businesses, those in town, out of town, and of course our largest business, that of farming. Protecting and preserving our wonderful natural environment is essential. Our forests, fresh air, clean water, and beautiful Georgia Bay. My last pillar deals with municipal financial stability. We must face the reality of the current inflation that is hitting us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Harley. You?
Good evening. Thank you for your interest in this election. Folks, my wife and I weren't born in Meaford, but we got here as fast as we could. I'm winding down a 40-year career as a home construction contractor, and now I have time to devote to council. In my career, I've had to create workable visions. Through research and collaboration, I could develop plans with full regard to budget restraints while navigating a network of regulations. The execution of these projects involved a lot of plain hard work, but with a sharp eye for detail and finished with painstaking care, there was an end result to be proud of. I intend to apply these principles at the council table to achieve a result we can all take pride in. I have been getting so much help from so many in my campaign, and I will need your help in getting to that council seat, but it doesn't end there. I will need your help, your input, your insights over the full term of council to be the effective councillor that you wish me to be. Looking for your support now and over the next 4 years.
Brandon?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brandon Forder. I'm a 42-year-old local business owner, passionate community advocate, and active father of 3. I'm invested in finding efficient and sustainable solutions to Meaford's most pressing issues, such as housing, infrastructure, and economic development. The single biggest issue facing our new council will be proactively governing the escalating rate of new developments. Increasing density is best achieved through calculated, intelligent planning that aligns with our official plan. Building positive relationships with developers who respect our needs and rich cultural heritage will be monumental towards establishing our long-term vision. We can grow our community while also preserving everything that makes Meaford an exceptional place to call home. We're about to experience unprecedented growth, and the choices we make now will set the tone for the future of our community. A decisive and astute council will be the cornerstone of a stronger, smarter Meaford. Thank you.
Test. Thank you very much. My name is Eric Ennis. I'm 27 years old, the youngest candidate running for council in this election. I live in Annan at the top of Irish Block Road in the historic Traynor homestead where my family and I are trying to build our own homestead tradition. My campaign slogan is sustainable well-being achieved through economic development. Sustainability is very important to me. As a young person, I want to make sure that as I continue through the journey of life, that there is something that I can leave behind for my children, my grandchildren, and my descendants. The unique thing that I offer to this table is my perspective as a young person. All of the things that we're going to talk about tonight require an influx of young people in this community, and I propose that I be the one to represent that age group as somebody who is going through the same challenges of today that they will be going through when they get here. Thank you very much.
Bill?
We on? I'm Bill Cameron. I'd like to join the team in Meaford to be a part of improving or changing many things, but the highest priority issues are related to money. Inefficiency is also dollars because time is money. No government earns independent revenue, so the money at stake is your tax dollars. Whether we compare with other townships or our own numbers at amalgamation, our inside staff has seen unprecedented growth and efficiency seems to have suffered. Besides the cost of salaries, the mismanagement by some staff is causing a lack of productivity at a huge cost to us. Taxpayers are experiencing unfortunate customer service levels by questions to staff being unanswered or partly answered after long delays. Our planning department apparently suffers from customer service levels that are a little slower than some builders would like to deal with. Besides owning and leasing many pieces of equipment we have no justification for, some of our necessary equipment is improperly equipped, resulting in higher cost of operation. It's time for some changes. I think we should get started.
Tony?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tony Bell, and I am seeking your support to be re-elected as a councillor here in the municipality of Meaford. I try to use these big ears that I have inherited from my grandfather in order to listen to you. I believe that my ears are an asset, and I should listen to what you have to say, and I try to do that. Pick up one of my cards at the back, please. I'm a businessman for 20 years, an independent business of a machine shop. So I know what it's like to turn a dollar here, and I know what it means to be in business and how hard it is. I want you to understand that when you read my card at the back, everything that I believe in is broken down into these bullet points. One of the things that I want to say is that I'd like to promote our vision to developers, and I would like to use our new official plan and our new policy of having a pre-conversation with developers so they understand what we are about. I would like to try and keep our taxes in the 4% zone. It's going to be tough to do, but that's what we do as council. Thank you.
And Steve.
Thank you, Jim. Hello, I'm Steve Bartley. I am presently a councillor for the municipality of Meaford. In the past, as you know, Meaford was almost bankrupt. I have helped to bring the municipality into a very healthy financial situation. I fully understand the finances and the budget process. I spend over 100 hours each year going over other municipalities' budgets and finances, picking the good parts and throwing away the bad parts. The municipality's asset management plan states that this municipality has a deficit of $4.7 million a year in the infrastructure that they need to make this municipality move forward. I need to be involved in order to make these tax increases small. And I can do that because that's what I do best, is work with figures. I have learned a lot, and I'm not afraid to make changes for the betterment of the entire municipality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Starting at the opposite end that we just did, from one day, you're all going to answer this one question with one word. And that is, have you read at least the section of the Municipal Act that refers to what you can and cannot do as a councillor? The answer is yes or no.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was quick. Okay. starting with, I think maybe Eric on this one. What one thing would you do to support existing and attract new business to Meaford?
I think the most important thing that they're going to need is a workforce. That workforce, given the size of the businesses that we have in this community, most of them are in need of younger age groups in the workforce, entry-level workers, that sort of thing. And so ultimately, it's just going to be to continue to push that along. Along with that comes housing, amenities for young people, amenities that young people are going to find attractive. And then along with that, just provide incentive programs for any young people that might be wanting to come up so that we can make Meaford a more attractive alternative to places like Blue Mountain that carry natural attraction. Thank you.
And sitting councillor on that, we'll give it to Tony.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As a councillor, I sit on the BIA, so I hear about the heartbeat downtown Meaford. I've also been an invited guest to the Chamber of Commerce throughout this past year, and I've learned a lot about what they do. I would like to make sure that our businesses are promoted throughout the entire municipality, and that means that the municipality of Meaford itself has a business directory, and I don't know how many people in this room know that, but we do. There's over 1,300, 1,400 businesses which are listed, and you don't find them, with all due respect, just located in the town. The entire municipality is filled with entrepreneurs who want to succeed, and as an independent businessman, I want to find ways where we can promote that so people who visit, people who come here, they get to see exactly what we're about, and I know when they find out, they will continue, as our little slogan says, they too will love it here.
Thank you. Now, for anybody who has questions out there, we do have a mic up here, and I would ask that you come to the mic at any time, and we will get to your questions as well. In the meantime, is there anybody else that really wanted to answer that question that didn't?
Mr. Birch has arrived.
Mr. Birch has arrived.
I'm a little tardy, but I'm here.
Well, okay. Okay, well, we will let Brandon answer that question, and then we'll let Daryl give his opening remarks.
Okay. All right. Well, one thing that I've been thinking quite a bit about recently is this municipality can really benefit from a small business mentorship program. This is something that I've been doing through my business to help other individuals in the pet industry, and it has worked really well. This community is full of knowledgeable and experienced individuals that are just eager to share their knowledge and their expertise for the betterment of the community. Having a small business mentorship program means that those individuals with certain areas of expertise could help local business owners improve their business, identify inefficiencies, and eliminate some of the learning curve mistakes that everybody makes when they're in business. This applies for all areas of this municipality, agricultural, downtown. I think that would be a tremendous asset. I don't really have much time to go into too much more detail, so we'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now take a minute and let Daryl give his opening remarks.
Hi, I'm Daryl Birch. A lot of people here know me. A lot of you don't. I served for 30 years with the Ontario Provincial Police, and I also served for 31 years in the regular force and the primary reserve of the Canadian Forces. Most of which was in the primary reserve. I went to Owen Sound on my evenings and days off. I believe in change. I believe that we can We can finance things differently. We can look at how things are, what the dollar sign is, and break it down from there, and figure out exactly what things cost us physically as well as morally, and decide if it's something that this municipality really, really needs.
Thank you. We don't have an inquisitive audience.
One back there.
Back where? Who? Where? Okay. Just come on up to the mic. Don't be shy.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for...
Please identify yourself before you give a question.
I will do that. My name is Frank Emptage. All my life, Meaford has been... Can you hear me? No. Is this...
Oh, you need to get very close to that mic.
Okay. How's that? Is that good? My name is Frank Emptage.
Where do you live?
All my life, Meaford has been my home. I love it here. I wish to age in place here. To this end, I will lend my voice and energy to policies that promote accountability, care, and quality of life for every citizen at any age. In response to the United Nations Declaration of 2021-2030 as a decade of healthy aging, I wish to promote Meaford's development as an age-friendly community. Grey County has recently developed an age-friendly strategy and action plan, 2022, that requires implementation. The plan's vision is Grey County and its communities will create inclusive opportunities for people of all ages to actively participate in all stages of life and to thrive physically and economically with dignity and independence. As councillor of the municipality of Meaford, how could you help attain that vision?
And who would you like to answer that question?
Eric, please.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate your perspective of wanting to age in place. I live with my mom, who's doing the same thing, and my nana lives in Meaford as well. To actually foster this goal, it's kind of two-sided. If we want to be age-friendly, we also have to make sure that we're addressing the need of being age-friendly towards younger ages as well. But to your point of wanting to age in place, I think one of the best ways to do it is to really figure out how we're going to plan housing and where we're going to put it and what it's going to be near and what kind of housing it is. I was thinking recently on just long-term finances and availability of resources, and I was thinking, what would it mean if I were to age in place? And vehicle transport is probably going to be very different in the future. And so I think the answer, future thinking, is very similar to the answer now. If we can have everything sort of centrally located with easy access, elevators, things like that, ground floor, that would go a long way.
Thank you. Could you also answer that, Andy? Andy.
Sorry?
Could you answer that?
Yes. Correct me if I'm...
Is he on?
There we go.
Oh, you're working. No?
Oh, are we there?
Yeah, good.
Frank, I'm not sure, you can correct me. I think the number was around 30% for our municipality that had of our aging population.
31.3.
31.3.
Over 65.
So I was close. In representing, our job as a councillor is to represent the voice of the residents, and with over a third of our residents being in that, it's something that obviously that we should not be, I wouldn't say ignoring, but putting on the back burner. It's obviously a huge part of our area. We need to look at all the issues and define what those are with that population, and I think the way we define that is to listen to them, and then we use the tools that we have at our resource to help implement and address those issues. So it is something that I feel is of great importance, and I would hope that as a council and one council that we'd be able to take those and move forward.
Thank you. Going to ask Steve to answer that too. You.
Thank you, Frank. My wife and I employed over 1,500 kids, so I'm an advocate of kids. If we can help kids through up, and we help them get up to the age where they can make their own living. For seniors, the municipality needs to have attainable housing that seniors can move to from their house into the proper apartment buildings or whatever that they can afford, and they don't have the work to do it. And then we need to support them with any municipal facilities we have so they can come out and join with people. We need to make them part of the community right through to the end of their life. Thank you.
Next. Thanks,
Thank
Frank.
you, gentlemen. Good luck in your campaigns.
Hi, my name is Marnie Wraith, and I live on Centerville Road in Meaford. I have a question in terms of, there's a lot of developmental interest in Meaford. We're all aware of that. In terms of your answer, what would you do in terms of A, either protecting the character of Meaford, or B, trying to enhance anything that the developers can come with their development into Meaford, and how can we enhance into our community? So whether it's protecting in terms of density, in terms of built form, or B, what would you take from the developer and ask the developer to give to our community?
And who would you like to ask that to, specifically?
I would ask that to Mr. Forder.
All right. So that is a wonderful question. And I have to apologize. Would you just mind repeating your question for me? I just lost my train of thought when I was standing up. Thank you.
The developers are interested in Meaford, and...
Got it. Sorry. I'm on it now. Thank you. So we do have to respect the official plan. I feel that many developers come in here, they have their own agenda, they want to maximize their own investment, and I can appreciate their side of it, but we need to protect Meaford's best interest. Following the official plan is the best way to do this. And I think it was Mr. Bell that mentioned that we need to have pre-discussions with developers, if I recall correctly, and that is a very important part of the conversation. Developers need to understand the framework that we will stand firm on to protect the aesthetic and the cultural heritage of this really unique community. And I'm low on time, so we'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Do you want to address that too, Bill? Okay.
Yeah, kind of borrowing Brandon's line here. I was kind of surprised when I heard Mr. Bell say we don't do pre-conversations. I thought that would have been part of the process, but because the official plan distinctly prevents different types of building, and but we still have plenty of land around here near town, edges of town, that have highway frontage would be a great place for the higher density buildings to go up, rather than right in the downtown where it's just going to crowd everything in. And you try and keep the downtown kind of friendly and neighborly like it is now, and move the bigger stuff still near town but not right in it.
Okay, and Harley would like to answer this as well.
Thank you. Thanks for your question. Okay. Yes, thanks for your question. Development. Certainly that was my number one priority. As Mr. Porter said, the official plan is all important. What it states, what you can build, where you can build it, so on and so forth. I have some real concerns about protecting our natural environment and our man-made heritage in the entire municipality, particularly the downtown. these development proposals we have before us, a couple of them are just not good fits for our municipality, for our downtown. There needs to be more conversation, and it's got to be within 120 days. So we've got to improve upon that. Thanks.
Thanks, Harley.
Good evening, Dr. Kevin Hooper, sports chiropractor in town for the last 33 years. Also former head coach of the Coyote Track Club. I would like to talk about green space and specifically the track on Aiken Street. I understand there's a lot of discussion about turning that into housing development, and there's already a very limited supply of green space in town. I would like to know who specifically is interested in keeping that as a green space, and not just as a campaign yes and no, but as an actual promise. I spoke with different councillors and mayors and deputies over the last few years, and some have said yes, we do that, but I don't hear much support from that. I do recognize those who have supported us over the last few years that they want to support that, but I would like to know who is in support of that track on Aiken Street to keep it as a green space and not turn it into a housing development.
I'll start with...
Show of hands.
Yeah, show of hands. There you go. Well, that's easy. Does anyone want to speak to that? Okay, we'll start with Darryl. You haven't had a chance to yet, so...
Test. Okay, my motivation is somewhat selfish.
Excuse me, Darryl, before you start. If you use these mics, try not to turn them off.
My motivation is a little bit selfish. I live only a few doors away from that green space that you're speaking of. There's a lot of development potentially going on where the Knights of Meaford factory was, where the high school used to be. We don't need any more. I'm quite content that stay green. But like I said, my motivation is a little bit selfish.
Rob?
Thank you for the question. It's ironic that actually like the last three questions all revolve pretty much around the same thing, and that still comes down to development, but it's got to be responsible development. You're right, we need green space. It needs to be done properly. We have an official plan that does kind of guide our way in terms of what density is going to look like, but it's all about maintaining the heritage and culture of our area, and if we don't have that and we don't have green space, then it's going to be totally lost. I was with the Chamber. I've been with the Chamber of Commerce on the board for 4 years. We've discussed development at great length, and it is a big issue. It's going to continue, and it even ties into Frank's question about how we need development, because if we don't have it, we're going to have long-term care plans. We can't get health workers because we can't afford to live here. So it's very difficult to have that balance, but green space is absolutely necessary for our youth, for our lifestyle and our curb appeal. So I agree with you.
And lastly on this, we'll ask you.
Just press the red button here. Yeah, we're just going to leave it on.
All right. I certainly appreciate the Kyle Running Club. I'm just amazed to see the participation, the engagement you get with the youth. It's amazing to see. I just want to say that. I'm all for the green space. However, there's the cost of it. There's the administering it. We have to look at that very carefully. I just want to say, at this point in time, our children and grandchildren will remember far more what we didn't build on than what we did build on. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, okay. Andy would like to speak to this as well, so okay.
Hi, Kevin. I didn't turn it. Oh, there it goes. It just came on. When I was in high school, way back, I ran with a group, and Kevin was associated with it. And it's always been a sore spot of mine that in Grey Bruce counties, we have some phenomenal athletes that have gone on to do some great things in sporting, and not just track and field. And outside of Kincardine, we don't have a track in these regions that you can run on, so I can appreciate Kevin's concern. On projects like this, my concern is more when we have such a need for something that I don't know if it's Meaford's sole responsibility. And on some of these projects, we should be looking at some of our neighboring municipalities to team up with to get the recreation facilities that we so desperately need.
Thank you. No, we need to move on to another question, please.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hi. Sorry.
You
My name is Brittany
need
King.
to be close.
My name is Brittany King. I own Handy Her here in town. I do have a question for you guys. You guys have mentioned a lot about development, economic growth. It comes from families. Everything will be coming from families eventually, families of Meaford. Who's going to represent us in the $10 a day daycare? It's an open question. Who in the Meaford Council will represent the families of Meaford for the $10 a day daycare?
Steve?
Thank you, Brittany. It is not a municipal issue. This has come down from the province, but I believe in it. And if it comes across council table, I'll be all over it. It needs to happen. And I don't know if there'd be anybody at this table who would not be at it, but I definitely would be in favor of it.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think about wording this. Because a municipal government represents our town to the provincial government, to the federal government. Even though that it's a provincial law that's being passed, you guys have to represent our town. We are in a very particular situation with only one public daycare. You guys have an opportunity to change that for the working families in our town that's going to grow our town.
Anyone else wish to address this? Sorry?
Now I know where you're going. So the municipality shouldn't get in the daycare business, but I deal with our MPP and our MB all the time. I'd be an advocate for it. Push it further. You have to have more than one, and it's something that has to happen. I have grandchildren. I have kids that have kids, and they can't afford the daycare. So I'm an advocate for it, and I will push to higher governments to get it to happen here in Meaford. Thank you.
Eric, go.
Yeah, so as Steve said very well, I mean, it isn't something that we can actually make a decision on, but we can all certainly advocate for it, and as Steve said, I think all of us would. But as a sort of more immediate solution, or at least a way forward, one thing that I'd really like to try to do, I'm a Rotarian as well, and I know that the Rotary Club has been thinking about this issue a little bit back and forth, and there are other service clubs in our community that are thinking about this issue and trying to figure out what to do about it. So as somebody in a position on council, as a representative of this issue, I would really like to try and collaborate some form of initiative, whether it be through a funding initiative or, just basically gathering resources to try and make some sort of solution happen, and let the creative minds of the great people that we have in these clubs have at it.
Thanks.
My name is Gary Shute. I'm from Bodner, and I helped moderate the debate out there last week. None of the issues that came up at Bodner, they were all rural. None of the issues here have been rural. So you talk about a divide in this community. It's there. So why didn't you people talk about the bridges and the roads and all that stuff out in former St. Vincent Township and Sydenham Township? And that's just a statement that has to be made. So my question is, we talk about housing, we talk about everything and affordable housing, but the whole problem is this whole municipality, and I'm not just saying this municipality, the wages do not comprehend what the housing circuit is. And right now, I'm 68 years old, and if I had to go buy a house now, holy bleep, bleep, bleep. There's no way that I could afford anything. So anyways, I'm going to ask Brandon Fodder and I'm going to ask Tony Bell to respond to those two remarks. And I'm done. I appreciate the fact that you're here. And because I live in Bardner, I felt I had to come and state my mission and see whether there was a divide. And right now, there is a divide. Thank you very much. I'll wait for your answers.
I don't like these microphones, just for the record. So Gary, is your question about affordable housing or bridging the divide between urban and rural Meaford? I don't quite understand exactly what you were trying to ask. Okay. Sure. Well, I mean, as far as housing goes, one of the best solutions is we need to be aggressive with developers to make sure that we have mixed density housing, not just large parcels of land with homes on them. We need to make sure that we have a blend between detached homes, townhomes, and then also condos or apartments. That is really the only way we're going to be able to appeal to all demographics and still offer homes that are more affordable. So we might have to leverage developers to allocate a certain percentage of their development to more affordable style housing and to whatever capacity that may be. In terms of bridging the divide between rural and urban, now, credit to Mr. Greenfield. He mentioned this at the Bogner debate. I am also in favor of having a rural advisory committee so we can stay in touch with everything that's happening in all the corners of Meaford.
Thank you, Gary, for coming all the way from Bogner. The divide. One of the finest things, and I'm going to take absolute credit for this, the finest thing that I did in 2014 was to unite this community from Sydenham, St. Vincent, and Meaford with a new chain of office. It was 20 years, and we have now got a new flag, new corporate seal. We are one. As far as housing, I did a notice of motion for a new policy, and that new policy was to present people with the minimum building requirements as found in the Ontario Building Code. And when you look through our new official plan, they've actually inserted tiny homes. And so that footprint alone will be able to get more people inside smaller dwellings. Thanks for the question, Gary.
And could you also speak to that, Bill?
First, Gary, you made me feel bad. You're apparently 11 years older than me, but you look younger, so I'm a little touchy about that. I think part of the problem, maybe the inflation rate and rising interest rates might cure with the housing issue. When COVID reared its ugly head and people found out they could work from home, your computer doesn't know the difference between Markham and Meaford, so we got a lot of people coming up here. And a house that you or I would look at that was listed for $300 and say, yeah, I'll wait till it drops another $100 and I'll think about it. They'll pay $600 and not even give it a second thought. And it's kind of driven the cost up for all of us. As far as the rural divide, I have no answer to that, really. I've never felt it, but then I don't get out much. But as far as the price of housing, that's going to be the only good thing about the interest rates and the inflation rate is maybe it'll slow it down.
Before we go to the next question, you guys know the mics are turned on back here, so whoever picks it up, it takes about 5 seconds.
Okay, there's a lag.
Good to know.
My name is Barb Larange, and I've lived in Meaford for over 20 years, and I love this town. My question is related to bylaws, and are there any bylaws regulating the number of Airbnbs that are popping up everywhere? I think it's over 400 in this municipality. Now, I know there's concern for people who are stuck next to one and there's a party central going on. I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about people who are taking advantage and making huge amounts of money. Instead of renting a place, they're turning it into an Airbnb and making all kinds of money. And there isn't affordable housing in this community, and I'm not talking about buying a house. I'm talking about rentals. There's nothing.
We're going to try this end of the table.
I'm not addressing to anybody, but anybody who wants to respond, I'd appreciate it.
I'm addressing it to these three. I don't care who goes first. Don't touch it.
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Miss. Airbnbs are certainly a very contemporary issue out there in our municipality, not just the urban area, rural areas, doesn't matter where you go. We definitely need some very stringent new controls on Airbnbs. They are becoming, I call them a pandemic in our area. It's our latest pandemic. Unfortunately, some are being operated very well, very legally. Unfortunately, some people are, this is just a stock or a bond for them. If you want to have stock and bonds, go to the TSX. Don't buy a house and turn it into an Airbnb. We need much sterner controls for sure. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, and this has come up before in front of council as well. I'm not aware of any bylaws. There might be some current ones, but if they're not, it is something that council needs to look at as we defined the commercial versus that residential Airbnb. And the ones that are making a living off of a commercial enterprise by running that, then there should be some fees, or we should be looking at what those restrictions are. There are a lot of communities in our province going through the same situation, so I'm sure we would have a lot of resources to compare to and see what they've done that's worked in curbing it. But definitely it is and it should be on council's list.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Anybody that actually did watch the last council meeting, Bob Foster from Cedar Ave actually came and made a really poignant presentation regarding this, because he indicated in that small stretch of beachfront there were 22 between Kaiwana and Cedar Ave. So it's an epidemic. It really is. And what was said at the council meeting is true. It needs to be addressed, and I think I will give credit to council members that they said this needs to be addressed, and it will be addressed by the next council. It's been a little late in coming, but they do need to look at neighboring municipalities, see what work, and that's what you really need to do, is to see what works in other communities to stop it. But it is something that I think probably everybody at the table would agree with, that something definitely needs to be done about it.
My name is Bob Clement, and I'm on Lakeshore Road in Meaford. And the lady stole my question. But I didn't want to miss my moment in the sun, so that's all I got.
can't even follow that.
It's tough, isn't it?
Let me try this way. My name's Trish. I'm from Bognor. I have had the opportunity to be at the all candidates meeting in Bognor, as well as the mayoral candidate in Bognor. And I want to say, I've only lived here a year and a half, but I still love this town. My question is, in attending the mayoral candidate debate, there seems to be quite a divide in regards to the plan from both mayoral candidates. As a newcomer, it left me to be very confused because one mayoral candidate, was very clear, to me, left the impression that the whole entire plan needed to be scrapped and reworded. The other mayoral candidate said it was a solid plan and that there was lots of things to go on and to go forward with. My question is, which way are we going? Which way would you lead us? Is the plan solid, or does the plan need drastic change?
Anyone in particular you'd like to answer that?
I'd like to hear from some of them that haven't really had an opportunity to talk yet.
Okay, well, let's start with Hugh.
Oh, but I would like to, people who are on council, they would have more.
Well,
so,
yeah,
yes.
we'll do that too.
The town's spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of brains, a lot of spirit coming up with the official plan. It's been ratified by all the councillors, all the councils for the last 2 councils, I believe. We have a plan, we should stick with it. I'm a builder, and I know what happens when you start diverting from the plan. Things start going wrong in a big hurry. So it's the best thing we've got at this time to act as a template for our future growth. So I think we should stick with it.
Tony and then Steve, since she wants to hear from existing.
Thanks very much, and thanks for coming over to Meaford. The official plan is an absolutely incredibly deep document. I read most of it. I spent 8 hours on it. But I have to tell all of you, those of you who participated in sending forward your comments, they've been included. So we listened when it talked about green space. It's in there. Protecting our trees, it's in there. Protecting our water and our shoreline, it's all there. So the official plan that we have, I believe that it is absolutely great. You helped make it, and our staff pulled it together, and I'm looking forward to working with it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Trish. The original plan, 2014, we didn't change much in it. There was a lot of wordsmithing. There were some changes. I personally sat in on every Zoom meeting they had that went out to different residents. I sat in a lot of the meetings. It hasn't been ratified yet. I think it's coming on October 31st or thereabouts. I have a couple minor changes I want to do in it. But other than that, it's a great document. I'd have to agree with whoever said that it was a good document. It is a great document that's been looked at by all sorts of consultants, engineers, staff, and myself. And Trish, it's a good document. I just have 2 little changes I want to make. Thank you.
Good.
Good evening. My name is Mary Lou Gignac, and I live sort of in a rural area, but sort of also on the border of the urban area. I go both ways, I guess. I came to this area because of my love for the Georgian Bay, but I have to say, since I've been here, I have fallen in love with the land. And my concern is environmental protections. Some of you have referred to that in your opening statements. So this is an open question. I really want to know how you, as a councillor, would ensure that environmental issues are, 1, on the agenda, and 2, environmental protection, sustainability, environmental protection is considered in every planning and policy decision of the municipality.
Let's start with Brandon.
Whoa, there we go. This is a subject that's very near and dear to my heart. And some advice that I was given recently was anytime we look at something in the municipality, we need to look at it through a climate lens, meaning that for every action, there is a reaction, and our natural resources are finite. Georgian Bay is one of the most precious freshwater ecosystems on the planet. The Georgian Bay Biosphere Project on the east side of the bay is home to numerous at-risk species that can only be found in this part of the world. It is our duty to protect this natural resource. Georgian Bay will be more important and more valuable to our future than we can ever possibly begin to imagine today. Thank you.
Harley?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, thank you for your question. I did touch on our natural environment earlier. It's of utmost importance, and there are a lot of things we could do. Some of them maybe not major. I'd like to see whenever any plan is brought to our building department, whether it's a 5-story monster condo or a single residence, I want to see not how many trees you're going to cut down on this property, but how many you're going to plant, how many don't have to be cut down, and start with things like that. Our river, our streams, our Georgian Bay, we have to protect them. We need that. Our grandchildren deserve that. Thank you.
I'm going to go to Daryl.
Test. We're working. Okay. Thank you very much for your question. It's a marvelous question. I believe that everything needs to be looked at through an environmental lens. As I was talking in my opening speech about the morality of issues, I think that when we break everything down, everything that comes across our table, we need to look at not only the financial needs of it, the morality of it, and through the green lens. Because the green lens really fits into the morality of everybody who lives here. Mr. Ennis, no, not Mr. Ennis, sorry, Mr. Forder was talking a moment ago about the green space, how wonderful Georgian Bay is, and I have to concur.
Could I ask just a refinement on my question, Mr. Moderator?
Sure.
If it's better for the environment to pay a little bit more to effect your decision, would you pay a bit more?
Andy's next, so we'll see what he says.
I want to touch back on your initial question because I'm not sure whether we've really addressed it yet. Everyone up here, and I'm not going to speak for all, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that the environment is important. We speak of our official plan. We haven't spoke of our bylaws. We also have provincial policy statements on land use. There's a lot of different variables that dictate what we can do with our land, and I think as council, it is part of our due diligence to make sure that we are following all these, not just our official plan. I think when we look at some of the provincial legislation around land use, I'm not sure if it's always followed, and I think that that is something that we should be doing to ensure as well.
Thank you.
Brad Tichborne, Meaford. I'll leave this up to Jeff to assign. It's really open for everyone. In reading your literature and attending the meetings, I'm hearing a lot of, I'm going to do this, or I'd like to do this. I think we all understand that you're one vote in a group of the council members. What qualities do you have to work as a team? And maybe, do you have an example of when you worked with a team, even though you didn't agree with the end outcome?
Okay, we're gonna go with Rob and then Bill, I think, and then somebody else. I'm not sure who yet, but somebody.
Thank you for your question. Again, another excellent question, because you're absolutely right. It is a team environment. Actually, I think I started my opening remarks in Wagner with, you can't really come up here and say, I am going to not raise or stop raising taxes. I am going to build. You can't, because it's a team environment. Everybody has to work together in that scenario to make sure that it happens. Which also goes back to addressing the previous question. When you talked about the plan, I wasn't sure if you were talking about the official plan or you're talking about the mayoral, whether or not that plan was, what the overall vision is. Because if the two mayoral candidates have a different vision on terms of the direction and the vision of the town, that's a little different to me than just saying, yeah, the official plan is X and we need to follow it, and that's true. But you also need an overall vision. We're a four-season destination, and we need to make sure that we can protect our environment and we look after everything we do. And we all need to work collectively on all of these items to make those things work.
Yeah.
Okay, the team player part, had employees for a number of years, so yeah, by the time you referee everybody's wishes and what they don't want to do together, you're a team player because the job's got to get done. You may not be happy with the way it got done, but it had to get done. And you'll notice on my literature, it doesn't say what I'm going to do. It says what my goals are. That's what I'm going to push for. Obviously, I need 3 more people pushing in the same direction equally hard, and hopefully that happens on the important stuff.
And Hugh.
Brad, I served on council before. I've served on council in Minto, and there were times something I was absolutely opposed to, it went through, well, let's get on to the next item, right? There were things that I was absolutely stood for, and they went down in flames. You just got to move on to the next question, move on to the next issue. You can't take this personally, and in my closing statements, we've got to submerge our egos here. This isn't an ego exercise, it's an exercise in good judgment, good management.
We have time for 1 or 2 more questions before closing statements, so go ahead.
Hello, my name is Grace, and I own a business downtown Meaford, and my question is about revitalization. How are you going to help downtown Meaford to wake up? Its current state is a sleeping beauty, and it needs to wake up. What are you going to do?
Tony.
Thank you very much for that. Folks, I'm very excited. We have got 2 new developments happening that this current council voted in favor of. One is above the old Stedman store with a hotel, revitalization on the front and the walkway in between. The other one is on Cook Street. Finally, that empty lot, that empty stuff, the eyesore that was down there, we voted in favor of bringing in a development that these folks have got a vision of walkways and pathways down through into the parks, down to the water, and we've got both ends now. That's a great starting point, and it is a revitalization of the downtown core, and I am 100% behind that. That is the most fantastic thing to happen in a very, very long time. Thank you.
Go for it, Brandon.
Thanks for your question. Love your hair, by the way. It looks awesome. There are plenty of things we can do to help revitalize the downtown core, and I think we're already kind of in the midst of it right now. For those that don't know who the Meaford Wave is, we have a couple local entrepreneurs that put together the Meaford Summerfest, and that was wildly successful. Yes. Collaboration is how we can revitalize the downtown core. We work together, we utilize our skill sets, And the Summerfest was a great example of what we can do with just a little bit of teamwork. This is something we can build upon. And in addition to the developments that were just mentioned, I think we are well on our way towards having a very vibrant, revitalized core with tons of active participants in this community.
Sure.
Just a quick comment on that as well. One thing I would really like to see is actually a professional section of town, a professional zone. The problem is we have so much of our downtown core that is taken up with professional buildings, and thank goodness they were here, because in those dark times when the street wasn't crowded, they were thriving businesses. But now we need more retail. We need more to bring in culture and tourism and that's going to be driven more by actual things that people are attracted to. So if you actually had a professional building or a zone that you could put for one-stop shopping in that quadrant, that would hopefully also open up a quadrant downtown for more retail.
Okay, we will take one more question. We do have to wrap this up soon, so I'll take one question for two people.
My name's Andy Anderson. I live in urban Meaford. My question is regarding electrical vehicles. We know they're all coming, and the province has mandated that. And what are the council's plans for infrastructure for electrical vehicles downtown Meaford? Number one, more plug-in spots. The longer it takes to charge, the more people will shop while they're charging their vehicles. But the other thing is, what are you considering when you're improving new developments for the infrastructure in these new buildings, if they're low-rises or whatever they are, wherever those vehicles park, need infrastructure for charging, and what are your plans in that regard?
Anyone in particular on that, Andy?
No, whoever would like to do it.
Eric? Sure.
Thank you very much. It's a great question. Just a spot of good news. When we did the candidate open houses with municipal staff to see the different facilities, we had conversations about the municipal fleet eventually, slowly over time, moving towards an electric fleet, which I was really excited to hear about. But in terms of what we'll do in terms as councillors making these decisions, number one that immediately sprung to my mind is that we're going to need to have our electrical building inspectors, that program invested in, because people are going to want in their own homes to have their current service redone so that they can charge at home, because that is an option. And we won't be able to do that if we don't have the inspectors and the associated people. But then also, as we go through the bylaw and zoning revisions, I would love to see a lot of that include requirements for at least a certain number of public chargers, depending on the development, of course, but to include those as part of the formulas.
And finally, I'm going to ask Andy to answer this as well. And then we're going to need to get on to closing statements.
I would be curious to hear from our current council. I'm not sure whether this has came up at all. In knowing that this is going forward, I would imagine, and this is something that I haven't looked into yet, but there are some provincial guidelines I would guess that are going to accompany this. As far as our economic growth, this comes as part of that. So when I was referring to some of the policies and procedures that we need to, as a councillor, be adherent to and look into, I think that would be part of doing due diligence in the electric motor fleet as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Just before we get to closing statements, I would like everybody here to know that after the councillors are finished on the stage, we will have the mayor candidates coming up here for you to drill them. So hopefully, whoever didn't get to answer a question will. And we'll do the closing statements in the opposite order that we did, so we'll start with Steve.
I hate going first.
Sorry.
Well, how long do I have, Jim?
Just a minute.
You're going to tell me in a minute?
Yeah.
I thought I had 3 or 4 minutes, so I'm changing my whole speech. I'm going to answer the one question that Mary Lou about the environment. I've brought a motion forward, and it's going to come to our next council meeting. I'm asking for a staff report on every bylaw or rule or regulation, both in provincial and federal and municipal, on protecting the environment. So that is coming forward. We will get the report and move on from there. So having said that, I will continue to keep infrastructure on every budget. I will not put this off to our grandchildren. I'll deal with it now. I'm going to continue on the path of fiscal responsibility. I'll continue to have smart, reasonable development, and see me after for the next 3 minutes. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to get you to participate with me. So you get ready. Everywhere that I have been campaigning, I have found issues that I know nothing about. I've been at Eagle Ridge over in Sydenham. I've been in Bognor. I've been in Annan and Leith. I've been in town here. I've been in South St. Vincent, and people have got problems that we know nothing about. We wait around for 4 years for you folks to come out like this, and I love meeting with you. So what I'm going to ask is this. I want you to give me a show of hands if you would love your elected council in the future, that you can come like this with senior staff, and that we can have just before Thanksgiving every year an open meeting just like this, that you can ask us what we've been doing, how we've made out. Can I have a show of hands if you would like to do that? Thank you very much. I'll make that happen. Thank you.
Okay, short history. I've always been fascinated with the way money works, that saving it's as important as earning it. I started our trucking company in '99, and I shouldn't have. The overhead costs of that industry mount up dramatically before the first nickel comes back in, and I didn't have many to start with. My attitude towards money became an obsession because it had to. Along with that came another obsession, efficiency. Since I worked at a profit, the more work I could do, the more money I made. I started with a 20-year-old truck painted by me in the backyard with half-price paint. I pulled a rented trailer, and Steve and Richard Knight directed me to a few fast-paying customers, themselves high on the list. The first few months, I lived out of a cooler through the week, and the little business that should have flopped grew. Realistically, those days are long gone, but they're still bright and shiny and alive in my mind. Maybe that's a form of mental illness. If it is, I'm really not interested in a cure. What does interest me is applying my fussy obsession with finances to how your tax dollars are handled.
Test, test. Okay, I was a little bit late getting here, and I apologize. But as I have identified, I'm Daryl Birch. As on top of being on the OPP in town here, as well as being in the reserves and in the regular force for a number of years, I was also a member of the St. John Ambulance until February. I was also a member of the second vice president of the Legion in Flesherton Markdale, branch 333. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. I love this town. I've lived in this town it'll be 21 years in November, and I'm willing to do my part to make it as good as it can be for everyone who lives here, whether they're new, whether they're old. I try to save money. I believe in that. But I believe in a whole lot more.
Well, thank you all again for coming out. And over the last couple of weeks, I've received a number of questions just asking, what I hope to bring to the table as somebody who unfortunately doesn't have the wealth of experience that a lot of the guys up here have, and as well as the mayoral candidates and our deputy mayor. And when trying to answer that question, when I decided whether or not this was something I really wanted to do, that I really wanted to get involved in, the answer to me was to really just throw my life at it. To me, it's extremely important. Like I said, I'm trying to build a homesteading tradition here. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can sort of bridge the urban part of my personality with the rural part of my personality. And I want to create a community that can be, that offers the opportunity for people to come here and live their entire life here. To me, that is the mark of a successful community, and that's what I'm going to be advocating for, despite all of the hard decisions that are going to come along the way. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am determined to make Meaford the best place it can be for future generations. This is something I mentioned earlier, and I feel like it bears repeating. Protecting our natural resources is essential. Georgian Bay, our farmlands, and our conservation areas, again, will be more important and more valuable to our future than we can ever begin to imagine today. As a successful lifelong entrepreneur, I owe it to my staff, my clients, and my business to make fiscally responsible decisions. Managing the municipality is no different. As residents, you deserve a council that makes smart and efficient use of your tax dollars. I offer a fresh, modern, and innovative approach that, with your vote, will prove to be invaluable as we move forward together. I will use qualities like leadership, initiative, and critical thinking to best serve our community. With a clearly defined vision and a council composed of skilled individuals, we will achieve great things in this municipality, and we will do this together.
If elected, I'd be a newbie on Meaford councils, but as I've mentioned, I've served on previous councils. I have a fair acquaintance with the Municipal Act and the day-to-day functioning of a large, diverse, rural-urban community. I've been trying to wrap my head around this community, this municipality, the people, the real estate, the amount of roads, the number of bridges, the built infrastructure, and then I look at the available budget. And this job starts to seem somewhat daunting, to say the least. However, faint hearts and magical thinking are not going to get us through the next 4 years. The municipality's need for money must be tempered with the thought of our ratepayers dealing with inflation and rising interest rates. But municipalities are not immune to these pressures. Wages, fuel, vehicles, insurance all cost more and will have a definite impact on our budget's bottom line. As a council, we must temper our egos and our passions in order to work together to achieve stability and progress for all in our community. I hope to be part of this, and so I am pledging my time, energy, and experience to you, the citizens, to this unique place we call home.
Thank you for attending this evening. I've had some great experiences traveling around the municipality, chatting with folks over the last few weeks. We have many, many wonderful people. You're all wonderful people out there. And we've got some amazing properties in our municipality. I'm going to kind of jump on Tony Bell's suggestion. I was going to say I'd like to have 2 town hall public meetings a year. One in the rural area, one in the urban area. Folks, I've always been approachable, and that will continue with me. You will always have a voice on council. Representing our citizens with sound, well-researched decisions is my goal. Again, thank you for tonight, and we've got a lot of challenges ahead, but let's go forward together. Thank you.
I would like to leave you this evening with 3 thoughts. Municipal government is the one closest to how we live, where we live, and the strength of the community we call home. You do not need someone who claims to have all the answers. You need someone who will listen and serve you and the public interest within the construct of sound municipal governments. You need someone like me, a local business owner, who is reasonable, pragmatic, and a consensus builder. I hope to earn your trust, your support, your vote on Election Day, Monday, October 24th. Please vote Andy Plater for Meaford Councillor. And I still have 15 seconds, so I'd like to wish my beautiful wife a happy anniversary and thank everyone for celebrating.
I grew up in rural Meaford, and even though I spent 25 years away, I've always considered it my home and am passionate about seeing it flourish. I believe public service is the heart of a community, and council is the top rung of that local service ladder. So what qualifies me to be part of this team? Since returning to the area 5 years ago, I have volunteered on the Meaford Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and I'm the current president. I sit on the Board of Directors of the Meaford Culture Foundation. I'm a member of the Municipal Economic Development Advisory Committee, and sit on a variety of special event committees such as the Meaford Dragons, MIF, and upcoming Christmas on the Bay. During COVID, I was a member of the Meaford Economic Recovery Support Team. This experience has given me insight into the business, cultural, and economic workings of the municipality, and I would like to use that experience to be your voice on council to steward Meaford's growth, protect its unique culture and heritage, and represent the interests of all of its residents, urban and rural. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I do hope that you're pleased with the way things are run. I hope you all got a chance to talk. And thank you very much.
Great job, Jeff.
Stay tuned. I'm not going to bother going over the rules. You all know them. I think they heard them, and so we're not going to waste any time, and they're just going to speak.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. You don't realize how big the crowd is until you get up here to the front. I'd like to start by actually going back to the meeting in Bognor there last Thursday. I think I feel unfortunate that things went the way it did. And as your mayor, you need to be able to, you're held to a higher expectations. And in my performance on Thursday night, probably wasn't the best foot forward that I could have put. And I'd just like to say, if I took that as a learning, I reflected on it on most of Friday and into Saturday. I talked to a few people, and I realized I didn't put my best foot forward. But I learned from it, and I will learn from it, and I will continue to learn from it, that I can be the leader for this municipality. Thank you. Sorry.
There you go. Ross?
I'm just going to follow the rules, so if the timer is ready, I am.
Go.
My vision for Meaford is a community that enables families and individuals to live in economic security, in safe, affordable housing, enjoying a beautiful and healthy environment, and being enriched by recreational and supportive municipal services. My vision sees Meaford's heritage and cherished small-town charm preserved and enjoyed by a growing population. I see council working collaboratively with each other and, most importantly, with the community to advance specific goals, holding ourselves and staff accountable for these goals. Let me be clear, I am pro-development. My vision for development includes effective zoning that protects the vital agriculture driving our economy, a vibrant downtown with a look and feel that continues to bring pride and attract visitors and investment, housing development that meets everyone's needs through their economic and life stages, and of course, preserving the environment. Thank you.
Now, unlike the councillors, the mayor and Deuce will have 2 minutes to answer questions from the floor, or from me. And we're going to start with a question which I think was sent to you, at least I hope it was. And we'll start with you since you spoke second, Ross. In light of the demands for future development in our community, please comment on the relevance of the official plan with particular focus to special agricultural zoning, infrastructure, and development fees.
Meaford has spent the last 6 months on the required official plan review. It is our roadmap, and as mayor, I will encourage council to follow it so that the development happens the way we have envisioned it. We have to remember that it is only a plan, and unless council is proactively guided by it, we will not attain our vision. Rural and urban residents of the municipality look to the protections afforded through zoning and the official plan so they can maintain the lifestyle they have chosen, whether it's urban or rural. We can all benefit when the bylaws and plan are upheld. I applaud the specialty agricultural section zoning, generally located in the environs of Meaford's urban area. Specialty zoning is to ensure that the land associated with apple and tender fruit production is protected, along with its rural character. Meaford's association with apple production is one of our trademarks and an economic driver, so this zoning is very important. Our main infrastructure concerns are rural bridges and urban Meaford's sewage capacity. Finding cost-effective solutions to maintain or replace rural bridges is critical to our number one industry, agriculture. We have an inflow and infiltration study on our sanitary sewer system to give us a better understanding of our sewage treatment capacity for future growth, and it should be ready by mid-2023. And finally, development charges help pay for growth-related capital costs. They're supposed to cover initial costs, but development charges for sewage only cover about 12% of the cost to enlarge capacity. When we receive the sanitary system study, we will have a clearer idea of the cost of expansion of that system. Thank you.
Need to give that 5 seconds, apparently.
Pardon?
There you go. What was that?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, yeah, sure, I can do that. I have the technology. In light of the demands for future development in our community, please comment on the relevance of the official plan with particular focus to special agricultural zoning, infrastructure, and development fees.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And the official plan is the roadmap that we all have to adhere to. It's important because it shows what we want in the municipality, is to make sure that the different types of lands aren't starting to get mixed. We need to keep urban, we need to keep rural. It doesn't go together. We have to make sure we keep the two separate. The official plan has been made, has been presented to us, and we all need to respect it. And we all need to educate ourselves about the official plan. The question towards the special ag, obviously agriculture is our number one industry in the municipality. We need to protect the land just outside of our urban boundaries where the orchards are. DC charges are there to help fund for the expansion of roads and sewers and water mains. They're, every time. The DC charges are there not to make sure that the present users of the system do not have to pay for the expansion into the new areas. These are all things that we have to keep in mind, and this is certainly why density and intensity is important in the urban part of the municipality. If we start expanding our services further and further out, we not only gobble up agriculture land, we start increasing the cost of our services, and our future generations will never be able to pay for them. We need to make sure we do planning wisely.
Anyone out there? Not yet. Okey-doke. Just a quick question, as I asked the councilors. Have you read at least the section of the Municipal Act that deals with what you can and cannot do on council?
Yes, I have.
Paul?
Yes, I have.
All right.
And it all makes sense when you really think about it. We are the people that create the vision. We are not the people that actually do the work. You know, it sounds backwards, but it really is the way the Municipal Act is set up, so that we understand where our boundaries are. We can't be the ones all of a sudden making decisions on what roads to plow, what roads to replace, what roads to fix. It's important for us to remember our spot, and our spot is at the leadership and the visioning part of the table.
Hi,
My name's Lindy Iverson, and I live in urban Meaford. And I've got two quick questions in there for Paul. Paul, it's been my sense is that you're very ambitious because you've run externally for politicians for different political parties. Could you give us just how long you think you're going to be interested in municipal politics, like where you are there? And the second one is, in your write-up, you said something about, we'll spend money on what we need, but not what we want. So as a result, it was in the advertisement that was an independent. And so could you give me examples of things that you wouldn't spend money on that has happened over the past, say, 4 years, like concrete examples, please?
Yep, thank you for your question. So I have ran for the nomination of the Conservative Party. I didn't realize it would be such a negative to be ambitious, wanting to serve the people of the municipality, wanting to serve agriculture. I've always wanted to advocate for agriculture, and the agriculture voice has always been lacking, not always, is sometimes lacking when it comes to federal and provincial politics. So I thought it was a calling towards myself. I didn't realize how many people would be upset that a person would want to do that. And in your second question about needs and wants, we all have needs, and the needs are to make sure we have safe, potable water, that our sewers work, that it doesn't pollute the bay, our roads are plowed. Our wants are, we all want a new a multi-purpose recreational facility. I've heard that before. We all want, what would be another one? More activities for everybody to do. But we have to remember, unless we have enough money in the levy and in the budget, we won't be able to actually serve the wants. The needs will always get serviced because the roads have to get plowed and the streets have to be maintained. But sometimes, unless we increase our tax base, we will struggle now and in the future to keep trying to pay for the wants that everybody would like. So it's desperate hard. Without development, without growing, we will never be able to make those little extras that everybody wants to happen.
Ross, could you speak to the second half of that? Could you speak to the second half of that? The part about what you wouldn't do.
What I wouldn't do. I really like to think about what I believe we need a can-do attitude. It's part of the cultural change I would like to see in Meaford, a can-do attitude that, we're probably capable of a lot more than we think we are, and I'd like to see us do those things. Short months ago, people thought that, we should close this building because the roof was no longer safe and we were going to be closed down. And I was sure that the money was there if we just asked for it. And even during COVID, we were successful in putting a new roof structure to make this building safe and go on for a long time, another 100 years. So I'm just saying there are great opportunities in Meaford, and I don't think that we're going to have much trouble making it bigger and better than it is today. Thank you.
Good.
My name is Cindy Slee, and I'm from Meaford. This is a question for Councillor Vickers. On September 19th, you spoke to a group of residents down at the pavilion. You made a statement regarding TCE, and I'm going to quote you. You said, "We need to make sure we advocate for you, the citizens, the ones who live on the 7th line and the ones who live on the 9th line. When I meet with TCE, I want to make sure they realize. Think about it if you're living here and you had all those trucks going by there. How can we make it more livable with 4 years of construction?" End quote. Now, those homes are far apart and back from the road. During the same meeting, when I mentioned the 5 years of construction with the proposed Skydev development, you brushed it off and just spoke about the vehicle numbers once the development was completed. You worked with the numbers 1.5 vehicles per minute and spread it over 12 hours, not peak hours. These construction vehicles need to also go through other town streets to get to the location and possibly our downtown core for 5 years. Do you think that you need to advocate for the citizens in the urban area and how you can make it more livable for us?
Cindy, thank you for your question, and I do. Sorry if I wasn't that you misunderstood me or that I didn't make my points clear. I would advocate for the people in the urban areas. I would advocate to make sure that the construction vehicles, if the development goes ahead down by the water, that those construction vehicles and workers would obey by the rules. We do have bylaws. They cannot come in and just run around the town like that there isn't any rules. So I would advocate on your behalf. I would advocate on everybody's behalf. There isn't a person in this room that I wouldn't advocate on for your behalf, because we all need to make sure we feel safe in our community and safe in our homes. So I think I would do that for you, Cindy.
Do you have any comment on that, Ross? Do you have any comment on that? No? Okay.
This question is for both of the candidates to hopefully answer.
Identify yourself.
Sorry. My name is Evelyn Dean. I live on Lakeshore
You need
Road.
to be closer to the mic. They can't hear you.
My name is Evelyn Dean, and I live on Lakeshore Road South. My question to both candidates is most municipalities that are very successful in bringing about success in their community have built upon a community vision that is actually developed by the community. They take the time to do it because there's a lot of competing priorities that we've all heard even tonight. And I was, although our official plan is a great document for planning purposes, a community vision kind of answers the question, what do we want to be when we grow up? And I think we have an opportunity with a new council and a new mandate for the next 4 years. I'd like to hear both candidates talk to, do you feel that that is a worthwhile exercise? And do you feel that involving the community on that exercise is a good or a bad thing?
Understood, okay?
Evelyn, believe me, I'm very, very anxious to see us settle on a vision for Meaford. I'm aggravated, or at least unhappy, that we've come so close over the last 4 years, and especially in the last 6 months as we developed the official plan. I feel that, we're very close to it, but we really haven't crystallized it. And until we do, you can't really develop a plan that will get us from A to B. And I really hope that it can be done. I just believe that it's critically important because otherwise, the way the development pressure is building up on us now, we're apt to end up in 4 or 8 years in a place we really don't want to be. So we really have to decide what we want to be, and then we can work toward it. Thank you for the question.
Geez, Evelyn, sorry, I didn't, there you are, right there. Great question, and thank you for asking. And community vision is very important. We've worked hard at trying to find the community vision over the last 4 years. Hopefully we haven't failed. We look at our official plan, and there's been hundreds of, if not thousands of people bringing their vision and what the community should and would be and want to be. So it is important to make sure the community is involved, and we will continue to involve the community. So I would agree that we will keep listening, and the whole council and staff will always listen to any concerns that the citizens come up with.
The other part of the question was the community involvement side, other than just listening, is actually, do you work with the community? Do you work with the community to develop the vision rather than just council? So I think that's the other piece of the question.
Should it be a yes or a no?
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Yep, yes.
Before we have another question, this tacky commercial break, This show, the meeting is being televised by Rogers TV, and it's going to air on Thursday at what time? 4 o'clock? 4 o'clock. Okay. Thank you very much. Commercial message over. Your turn.
Good evening. I'm Joanne Rankin from Bogner. We have heard about the need for more housing, mixed developments, encouraging new businesses to come to this area. Meaford has a wide range of ages. And with the senior population growing, I would like to know if there is a plan to hire professional healthcare workers, doctors, nurse practitioners, because I believe we're going to need more, because Meaford is growing and growing, and that's the plan.
Yeah, and it's not always, we don't have direct control over who gets hired. That's more of a provincial item. But I think the one thing that the municipality can do is help encourage for more housing. Because until there's housing, those people can't come to our municipality to work. The housing is always the leading edge of any opportunity for jobs in the area. So if you don't have housing, you probably won't have jobs. And it's important to find all types of housing.
Joanne?
Yes.
I think you've hit on a very critical thing, and that is this is an area that belongs at the second tier, the county council. And one of the things you have to understand when you cast your ballot is that you're not just voting for your mayor, but you are also voting for your representative at county council. And the good news is you have two. You have both the mayor and the deputy. They're representing you. But what is very important is that the mayor and the deputy are like-minded and can work together and vote together. We're there really with the best interests of the second tier, Grey County, in mind. And Grey County is a wonderful, wonderful county. And we obviously would be very concerned. But we should also be clear on what is good for Meaford. And I think it's very important. In the past, what happens is that if the mayor and deputy do not vote in concert, our voice is lost at the county table. I'm hoping that, I'm finding that Grey County, the times that I've been there, seems to be very proactive about these issues. And also, there's a great opportunity for us to work with the second tier, with county council, to accomplish many things. And that will take a full-time mayor and a lot of effort, but I'm committed to that. Thank you.
So at this point, there is no hiring for doctors and professionals right now?
This council has not dealt with that question to date. And I just might say that we don't often deal with things if they're not on the agenda. And one of my positive change ideas is to get more council input to the agenda. And I think I so much agree with Tony's idea, and definitely town hall meetings. I would make a commitment to a 100-day report after the first 100 days in the position, a report and a town hall meeting where we could talk about whether we're getting there or not. Thank you.
If I can just add a little bit more to that, the one idea that I had a few doctors express to me was about their buildings that they do their business in, and they asked would it be possible to get a tax break, a property tax break on that property, not on their own personal property, but on the buildings that they actually do their business in. And I think that's something that the council could look at. It's a small gesture, but it was suggested to me by one of the doctors that it would be very welcoming and that would be a very positive change.
Kevin? Gentlemen, Dr. Kevin Hooper again. I'm back. As you both know, my wife and I were founders of the Coyote Track Club back in 2010. And under our command, we built a program from a handful of local kids to over 80 kids coming each season. Our club has set local, provincial, and national records. We've sent kids to universities. We have sent kids to OFSA, which is a high school provincials, and a very elite track club or track competition. We have sent a lady to the World Championships, and recently one of our local girls, Kara Titchborn, has represented this town to co-set a record, a national record for track and field. This program works. This program works, and since we have stepped down, we've handed our recipe to the new leaders, Steve Larry and his wife, Mary Jack, and they're following that program. You were both at the cross-country race on the weekend. In its prime, we had over 400 kids coming that weekend. There's over 300 this weekend. And it is a drawing card for Meaford. It is a green space, which is very limited in town, and there's no place else in town to train. There is discussions as
Is there a question, Kevin?
Yes, there is.
Can we get to the question?
Yes.
We don't have a lot of time.
Okay, sorry. There's discussions on making it either green space or housing. What is your future plans for that particular space?
I would like to say there isn't any question in my mind that it must remain a green space. It's really critical. We have lots of land in Meaford for housing development. Even in the downtown core, our planners say there's ample room for more housing. But why would we take a precious green space like this and take it away from future generations? Especially, this is such a valuable asset, this track that's there. And I will work very hard to make sure that we keep that. I just believe there are many, many opportunities to develop. And one of the things I want to do is sit with our CAO and planning staff and talk about what the opportunities are. And because we should be shopping these to developers, and especially the developers that we know are interested in acknowledging and working within our official plan.
Kevin, I would agree with you completely. I used to run that track, and I think I got a first place ribbon in the 1500 meter when I was in grade 11 or 12. So I understand how important that track is, how important it is to the kids. But let's maybe think about what are some other uses we can use that track for? Also, that green place. Could there be a dog park at the one end of it? Could we have the soccer field be used more often? There's so many more things that we can use that green space for, except for those 1 or 2 times a year. What I would like to see is the old high school. They say it's not usable. I'd like to see it tore down, and it could be built up into apartments, into multi-story facilities that can house people that then could use the track as their green space.
If I may interject a question myself, who owns that property? The Board of Ed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next.
Hi, Brittany King. I have a similar question that I gave the counselors. What are you going to do to help the families of Meaford get the $10 a day daycare?
And like what it was said before, Brittany, thanks for your question. There isn't a whole lot we can do about the cost of the $10 a day. But what we can do is make sure that we have, if somebody comes with a proposal to open a daycare, that we make sure that the staff gets those permits through and looks after whatever needs to be done. It's an easy question. Whatever we can do to help you, we should do it, and we should help all the young people in the area to make sure they have a spot for their kids, because that's what young people need to come to this area.
I think that the existing council deserves a lot of credit for having done our own safety and well-being study in the municipality of Meaford. We had an opportunity to go with a Grey Bruce study, but as it is, municipality of Meaford is only slightly smaller than the city of Toronto, and we felt that there were real needs, and all of us did, real needs within our community that aren't being met. And the good news is the excellent report that has been produced does show all the gaps. And what I've been preaching is how do we take facilities such as Meaford United Church to help fill those gaps. And there are many places and organizations and service clubs and so on that have resources, and I think we just have to bring those people together and make sure that we do provide, as best as we possibly can for young mothers, families, children, for sure.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linnea Nelson. I'm from Meaford. And my question is for you, Mr. Kentner. I understand that the official plan has been being worked on for a long time, and if I'm correct, it's going to be ratified at the end of the month. There may be some minor changes that can still be made if necessary. And I was interested in knowing from you, what is your actual opinion about the plan? Do you feel that it's well done, and are there changes that you would like to see made before it's ratified?
Thank you for your question. I would like to see some changes, but as Councillor Bartley said, they're really quite minor. I feel that if we could nail down some of the statements like you may or you could, and make them more like, you shall or you will. I just think that's the only weakness. I don't want it to be a little bit like our last official plan, which it seemed easy for developers to consider the pillars of the plan as bargaining chips. It was very disappointing. And I feel, I know how much work went into that plan. I salute our planning chief and his staff and all of the staff really and council for the work that went into it. 6 months, we have never, I don't think, had any kind of an exercise that involved so many people. And I took part in a lot of the Zoom meetings and learned an enormous amount about our municipality and about the opportunities. And I just think it's a great plan. I think it needs to be fine-tuned, and I want to vote on it before this council is through. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am very sorry, but we are out of time. We're done. So, Ross, we need your closing statement.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. I'm just going to say a few things about myself since we didn't do that at the outset. During my years as general manager of Bayshore Broadcasting, we added 6 new FMs across southern Ontario and 2 more in Owen Sound. And each of these projects involved leading panels at the CRTC hearings, working closely with municipalities and community organizations. And I want to say, no one can do that single-handedly. Only by working collaboratively with staff and many organizations that supported us did we win each of these competitions for valuable FM frequencies. And I've always said that radio gives you all the right tools to benefit your community, and over the years, we did a lot of community building. And on one occasion, Bayshore's Healthy Tomorrows brought Hospital Foundation representatives from all over southern Ontario to Meaford Hall for a full day of fundraising workshops. After retiring in 2018, I was elected as a councillor, and I've treated it as a full-time job and been a cheerleader for all that is great about our community. Losing precious seconds. As your mayor, I will strive for smart growth that attracts young entrepreneurs, creates jobs for our young people, and housing to meet a wide variety of needs without sacrificing valuable farmland or compromising our heritage downtown. The mayor has only 1 vote, so how, you say, can he or she change things? Well, very simply, last year, George Cuff, a Canadian expert on municipal governments, wrote a book called The Mayor. And in it he says the mayor should take a different member of council into the regular meeting with the CAO so that over time, every member of council is familiar with our agenda, and actually has had an opportunity for input to it. And I'm committed to that approach. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. What I'd like to finish up is to talk about leadership. Leadership is important because the leader of the municipality is the mayor. But the mayor can only do so much by themselves. They need to bring together a team that is honest, that has integrity, that is hardworking, that is reliable. A mayor can't do it all by themselves. It is a team game. It's a team sport. And that's the one thing that I think I can bring to the table more than anybody else. There's been times when I've been in leadership roles and I haven't always agreed with the outcome, but I've respected that outcome. Once the outcome was decided, and sometimes it doesn't always go the way you want it to go or you think it should go, but you have to realize that that is the way democracy works. So it's important to be a team player. We need a vision, and there's many small things we can do to have a vision in the municipality. We can bring development. We can have a market square that maybe is a bit closer to a market square instead of a parking lot. We can have a vision of wanting the wants that everybody needs over time. But the only way we can do that is through funding. We cannot support a larger infrastructure than what we have right now with the current tax levy. So in closing, I feel I'm the person that can bring the leadership and lead the team of councillors and staff, because council doesn't do it on their own. Staff helps out a lot. They're the ones that dots the I's and crosses the T's. In closing, I want you to remember Paul Vickers for mayor on October 24th. Thank you very much.
And to finish off our program, I'd like to call on Shirley Keaveney, our sitting deputy mayor, to say just a few words.
Thanks, Jeff. Good evening, everyone. I want to start by saying how very honored I am to have been acclaimed as your deputy mayor for this next term of council. I take that as a vote of confidence from this municipality, and that is incredibly humbling. I will obviously be the only woman on the next council. I do hear stories from women in other municipalities who are not running. Thank you. And their story is often a sad one. I often hear that they have not been treated well as elected officials, and I'm here to say that I have been treated with nothing but absolute respect and ongoing appreciation, and I'm very grateful to my male colleagues for that. I want to ask you to think about a few things tonight. Running for council and being on council are two very different things. Council is a huge learning curve. Our first task as a new council will be the tabling of the 2023 budget. We're all feeling the pinch of inflation, and believe me, rising costs are hitting the municipality hard too. We are going to have to make tough decisions. Our second task will be our community vision, our strategic priorities, and ensuring our staff work plan is well prepared for the next 4 years. We will utilize information gleaned from our very public official review process, as well as comments through this campaign period, to form our direction for the next 4 years. Setting this path for our future may be the most important work this council undertakes. We must have strong leadership to guide this process. Someone who speaks for all residents, someone who can think on his feet and who has the time and energy to devote to this more than full-time job. Someone who personifies our code of conduct, which speaks to confidentiality and to supporting all decisions made by council. We must choose a councillor, one of these two councillors, who will represent us as mayor at county council and beyond. A council is most productive when we work well together. We won't and we shouldn't agree on everything, but we must remain cohesive. Council has one employee, our CAO. Staff, however you feel about them, are our staff, and we are lucky to have them. They are doing the best they can. They deserve our support and respect. Let me tell you, I am very concerned about the staff churn we are experiencing this year. We've lost several really good people. I want to understand why. We must work with our CAO to create an environment that will attract and retain top-notch staff. I'm really looking forward to this next term. This is an exciting time for Meaford.